Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch.
After talking to my doctors, I know I got to quit smoking so I can heal properly from the weight loss surgery and I can get my facelift. Since I tried everything else in the book, I decided to get hypnotized.
All right, so I haven't been reacting to a lot of the clips with Angela because I didn't really have much to say about it. It was interesting, but I didn't have a lot to say about it. There's a lot of pseudoscience around hypnotism and hypnotherapy, especially on the internet. What I will say is that hypnotherapy has limited but some success with helping people change behaviors like quitting smoking. People think that hypnotherapy is like you become hypnotized and then the therapist says, you no longer are a smoker, and then you're programmed now like the stage acts. Those things are all fake, by the way. Some of you may have even participated in them and you might have thought that they weren't. Anyway, this is a whole pseudoscientific area that people might hate me for on some level, but just understand that there's a lot of false claims and there's not a lot of data to back up the claims. But hypnotherapy, on the other hand, it can work for some limited applications. Having said all that, from the very beginning, episodes ago, she was being told by her physicians that she needs to stop smoking. It's very important. They're saying you could die, you could have all these medical problems if you do not stop smoking. They would just chastise her, basically. It'd be just like, you need to stop smoking. Okay. And she'd be like, it's really hard for me. It's really hard, because it is hard. It is one of the hardest things to quit. It's up there with like heroin and cocaine and crack and stuff. It is extremely hard to quit smoking cigarettes. So the physicians should know that. And at some point, they had her sign a contract saying that if she smokes a cigarette, then she loses her deposit or something like that. And I get it. The physicians want her to quit smoking. Fine. But I'm guessing you have at least some of your patients, a percentage, where you're running into this issue, because a lot of people are still smoking cigarettes, that you would have some evidence-based protocols and pamphlets to say, here, try these treatment protocols. Because the common treatment protocol is essentially addictions treatment. It's an addiction. You have to go to a chemical dependency individual, someone who understands all the issues of abstinence and how to not relapse and all the thought processes. It's cognitive behavioral therapy that's adapted to addictions. And I've actually done that work with clients, not only with cigarettes, but with heroin and other kinds of things. It's out there. It's a thing. There's group therapy. There are meetings that you go to. It's, essentially it's like alcoholism. Because unless you have all those things in place, it's really hard to just white knuckle it and stop smoking. So the whole time I'm thinking, why aren't the physicians saying, here, try this chemical dependency treatment center, try this 12-step program, try this Smokers Anonymous program? They're not doing any of that. And then at some point, they start to recommend things to her, which I'm like, oh, great, they're going to start. And they recommend hypnotherapy and acupuncture. Okay, maybe, but that's not the standard treatment. The standard treatment is 12-step programs or chemical dependency programs. Do they not understand that there are addiction specialists out there? That's a thing. We all understand that, right? And for a lot of people, they want hypnotherapy to work because they have this fantasy that they'll, instead of having to do the work and going to meetings every day, they'll just have this one session and it'll erase their habit. Now, it's possible it will work, and I kind of hope that it does. When you go into a different state of mind, a trance-like state, you're still conscious. You still have control over your body. But it's a different state of mind, and you're able to insert what I will say like ideas that will help you in your abstinence goal. Ideas of just like, you will never smoke cigarettes again. It's sort of like a deeper, more potent way of self-talk. Like when you're trying to quit smoking, one of the things that you want to say to yourself is, I am not a smoker. It's actually a thing that I will do with the people I treat, is you have to adopt a persona of, I am not a smoker. It's an identity. To be a smoker is an identity. It becomes a part of how you see yourself. And that holds you back. So you have to adopt a new identity of like, I am not a smoker. And so hypnotherapy can help with that. It can help say, okay, I'm not a smoker, I'm not a smoker, I'm not a smoker. Or you can have other ideas that you can say to yourself when you're not in hypnotherapy or in hypnotherapy, the ideas in hypnotherapy, it's easier to get in there, that The next time I have a craving, I'm not going to smoke. The next time I have a craving, I'm not going to smoke. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a smoker. I can do it. I can do it. So when you're going through treatment, non-hypnotherapy treatment, you want to have all those things and a bunch of other things, by the way. You have essentially the treatment protocol is you have to organize your life around sobriety from cigarettes. You can't have any cigarettes around you. You have to tell everyone around you, please don't let me smoke cigarettes. You have to go to meetings every day and say, today I'm not going to smoke a cigarette. I really want to smoke a cigarette, but I'm not going to do it. And everyone hugs you and say, you're not going to smoke a cigarette today. You have a sponsor that you call when you have a craving for a cigarette. You avoid being bored at all. You avoid any association with cigarettes, like drinking alcohol or even caffeine. There's like a whole system, and it works. It's hard, but it's much more likely to work. Maybe you try nicotine patches. Maybe you try vaping. There's other things you can try. Usually we're trying to get it completely away from the substances. But I don't know. It just boggles me that these physicians don't have that at the ready. And so let's see if this works.
I have a lot more stress because things with me and Michael right now aren't going good. I mean, we're not communicating, and it's making me want to smoke more. And on top of that, I'm wearing a mask today because I have an abscess in my mouth.
So it's actually a classic addict thing to say is I'm only using this substance because of my partner. It's my partner's fault that I'm using this substance. It's a very tempting thing to believe because it avoids responsibility and it gives you the ability to keep using. Now, it's not uncommon to experience stress and to need your substance to cope with it, for sure. But that statement would have to change in order for her to get sober. She would have to say, nope, it's no one's fault that I smoke cigarettes. It is, I should be able to handle my stress without smoking a cigarette. That's the goal.
And I know that smoking is definitely making it worse. So I'm hoping this works. Oh.
Hey there. How are you?
How are you?
Angela?
Yes, sir. I'm Angela. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You ready to stop smoking forever?
Yeah, I'm ready. I do.
There's also a thing called placebo effect, and it's real. It's not a fake thing. That when you believe something is going to work, then it's much more likely to work. So and you notice that the hypnotherapist said, are you ready to quit smoking forever? And Angela's like, yeah. So if she believes that this is going to work, it's much more likely to work. Not that hypnotherapy doesn't work, because it can work for a lot of people, even when it is compared to control groups and placebo sham hypnotherapy, essentially. And let's also hope that whatever the case, placebo or hypnotherapy, let's hope something works.
Believe in certain things, but hypnosis ain't one of them. I'm here today because there's only two last resorts, hypnosis and acupuncture, and I want to do no needles.
Right. Because the physician said hypnotherapy or acupuncture, because that's the only thing they recommended, she's like, well, I don't like needles, so I guess I have to make hypnotherapy work. What? Come on. There are so many other treatment programs. You can even go to individual therapy. People have come to individual therapy with me to quit smoking. They will hire an addiction specialist therapist, and you just come once a week, and that's all we do, and you quit smoking. And I've helped people do it. It's hard that way because I'm not there every day during the week. But there's a lot of things we can do. Hypnotherapy is an option. I guess acupuncture is an option. But anyway, so if this doesn't work, then she's like, well, then I guess there's nothing else to try.
My first impression of Angela is that she's a woman who has a lot of stress and anxiety, and I want to help her not only quit smoking, but overcome the anxiety. So that's the key, is that, I want to be clear. Hypnosis is not magic. It's not voodoo. It's not like what's depicted on.
Great. I'm encouraged with his intro here. And maybe he actually is an addiction specialist hypnotherapist who can work with her ongoing, that it's not just, I'm going to hypnotize you to quit smoking, but we're going to talk about how to help with your anxiety. Maybe it's a more comprehensive program. That would be fantastic. And that could work, absolutely. Because essentially meeting with him repeatedly, and you say, okay, well, you relapsed on cigarettes. What happened there? Okay, let's investigate that. What were the automatic thoughts? The cognitive behavioral therapy there. And then, okay, let's do the trance state while you are still conscious, and you can insert little mantras into your mind that'll help you get through the anxiety the next time you have a craving. That can absolutely work. But typically what people think of with hypnotherapy, you have an hour and you just inject thoughts of you're not a smoker and then you're done and then you never smoke again. There are anecdotal reports of that, but so maybe this will actually work. This could be good.
TV and movies. Hypnosis is the most effective way of quitting smoking with a success rate of over 93%.
No. No. Imagine if that were true. There wouldn't be a smoking problem in our society. No. Okay, so instead of me just laughing at the guy, I decided to look up the research. It took me about an hour to look at various different studies. A lot of the research is in the hypnotherapy journals. So let me explain a little bit. So research is done by scientists, and then when you submit your research paper for publication, some journals, some publications will publish your study because it serves their needs. And so if you are in the hypnotherapy world, it serves you to prop up hypnotherapy as an effective treatment for a variety of things, including smoke cessation. So I was trying to avoid the hypnotherapy journals. I was trying to find independent sources of the data. Anyway, there's a lot of data all over the place. Now, I'm sure he has one study that demonstrated 90-something% effectiveness rate. In science, we have there's a lot of results, and you have to narrow in on the consensus. So the consensus is anywhere between like 10 to 30%, maybe more, especially if you do what I think he's going to do, which is you don't just do a one-shot hypnotherapy, you incorporate cognitive behavioral therapy and anxiety management, emotional regulation, which might actually be the effectiveness of the treatment protocol anyway, and you don't necessarily need the hypnotherapy part. But there seems to be some evidence that with smoking cessation, that when you have a combination of typical addictions counseling with a minor element of hypnotherapy, then that even raises the effectiveness rate. But the highest that I could find in respectable journals is something like 40%, nowhere near 90% or 93% or something, whatever he said. It's disappointing when I see a clinician who clearly is just cherry picking studies to bolster their profession. We really need to follow the science, and we need to not promote statistics that make us money. We need to promote statistics that are sound.
So I'm confident that Angela will be successful. So you're going to be able to take some skills that you can use to reduce stress and anxiety so that you don't go back to the old way of smoking.
Having said all that, I'm still confident that this could work. He seems to know what he's doing. He's not just talking about inserting thoughts into her head. He's talking about anxiety and, I'm guessing, emotional regulation skills that she might be using the substance and the ritual of smoking to help her with. And he knows from experience and maybe research that kind of approach helps, which when I look at the research, it's the most effective use of hypnotherapy is when you're using it in conjunction with standard psychotherapy techniques.
For some reason, there's no cigarette. It's as if you had an opportunity to rewrite history. And as you continue moving forward into adulthood, all the relationships that you used to have to cigarettes are gone from this point forward.
Right. So I don't know how he would conceptualize this, but this is that identity change that will help in quitting smoking. Because a lot of the habit of smoking is the identity of it, the psychological habit, what they call it. This is what I do. And when you don't see yourself as a smoker, then you don't reach for that cigarette. You're just like, you feel that urge, but you're just like, well, but I'm not a smoker, so I don't do that kind of thing. And he is now, I think this is how he would describe it, is he's doing, it's like, let's rewrite your history. one and very slowly going through it while you are in that trance state, while you're in that relaxation state, if you will, where you're better able to integrate these ideas. And the headphones keep her sort of isolated, closing the eyes, keep her really focused on this new vision of you are not a smoker. You never were a smoker. Let's rewrite your entire history where you never smoked at all. And that change can be a component in the effort to quit smoking. Again, I'm guessing that there's going to be several sessions. But typically on this show, there'll be one session and then it'll fail and they never go back.
It's really as if you were never even a smoker in the first place. In a moment, I'm going to count forward from 1 to 5. When I get to 5, your eyes will be open. You'll feel refreshed, relaxed, alert.
So I feel compelled to say that in all likelihood, they cut out a lot of minutes of hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy sessions, usually the hypnosis part of it is a lot of time. But so I just feel like I should point that out.
Also strange because at one point I felt like I was just light as a feather. And I heard Tom's voice in my head. Let me tell you, if Tom would have told me to quack like a duck, I would have quacked like a duck, quack, quack, in a minute. I mean, that's how I felt so good when I come out of the hypnosis.
Okay, so I don't know how hypnotherapists would describe why this might work, but the way I would describe how this might work is that when you are given a chance to relax, because most of us don't, especially someone like Angela, then you feel euphoric. You're given a chance to just relax, to just let go and just be and not have to be running and smoking. And so hypnotherapy can facilitate that, just like, and you have someone guiding you, because usually there's the beginning phase of hypnotherapy sessions, there's a lot of guided relaxation of like, think of your happy place and relax your muscles. And it can do wonders for your mood and your sleep and your energy and your diet and all sorts of things, your psychology. So we know that about meditation, we know that about guided meditation, and hypnotherapy usually has an element of that. And so that probably, she's saying, oh my God, I feel so good. The other element of it that I would say is quite likely is that she's wearing headphones and he has a microphone, and so he's talking directly into her like he's right on her. And to have that feeling of someone talking to you is emulative of when we were younger or when we're in a close relationship with someone and someone's close to us and they're talking to us. You're okay. You'll never smoke again. I got your back. I have you. And you're just laying back. You have your eyes closed and you're relaxing and you're just letting someone talk to you and soothe you and tell you how things are going to be different. And so in those moments, you're euphoric, you're relaxed, and you have all these ideas that are coming into your head and you're starting to really go with it. You're like, yeah, I'm not a smoker. Yeah, I'm never going to smoke again. I don't want to smoke again. I don't like smoking. And all those ideas start to become who you are because you're more open to suggestion in the moment. And you are associating it with this euphoria and this relaxed feeling. And so when you leave the session, you feel a little bit of a high. You feel like, oh, I like that. I like the non-smoking me. It feels so much more relaxed. I feel so much better. I don't want to go back to the stressed out smoking me. And so that's how I would describe how this could work. Now, from what I understand, he also is going to talk with her about anxiety and emotional regulation, because there's going to be more sessions. So, yeah. I don't know how hypnotherapists would describe why this works, but that's how I would describe it.
As every day that goes by, that idea of a cigarette being in your hand, it's something you used to do, but it's just not who you are anymore. We're taking control over the mind.
Our own mind.
That's right. Because it's empowering to know that, okay, I'm not going to let an emotion. That's right, I'm in control. Don't forget
just
that.
Just like with Michael,
you are in control.
That can work.
Right, so what he is talking about right now is cognitive behavioral therapy of you are in control, putting you in the driver's seat of you're in control of how you feel. You're in control of your behavior. You can do this if you want to. You can just say no. And although you need a lot more than that to quit smoking usually, that's a component of that. And you notice they're not in hypnotherapy or they're not in hypnosis mode right now. So he's doing a lot of things to help people quit smoking, and hopefully it'll work.
I'm feeling positive.
I cannot wait to hear how well you have done.
Right now, I'm staying focused that I am done with cigarettes for good. But as excited as I am, I am worried that I can't keep calm when it comes to Michael.
So that's concerning. Again, she is saying, I'm going to, Michael's going to upset me, and then I'm going to smoke a cigarette. That is usually, on one hand, you could say, well, it makes sense. You need to be calm in order to obtain sobriety. On the other hand, it is a very, as I was saying, very frequent thing that people suffering from addictions will do is they will look for any excuse to use. And Michael is a convenient scapegoat for her to use. The thing I'm worried about is that if this is weekly, I think her addiction is intense, as a lot of people with smoking is. And what I would hope is that he would recommend weekly meetings, especially in the beginning as she is trying to quit. Because, there are Smokers Anonymous meetings, there are support groups. To attain sobriety with any substance, typically, you need a lot of support, daily support in those, early months.
Since Michael has been giving me the silent treatment, he's definitely the main trigger of my smoking. God help his ass if he messes this up for me.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.